Hi and welcome to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn and today we are going to be diving back a little bit into my trip to the Northeast. As some of you may know from previous podcasts or just popping in the store, I was out at Maine for the Shelton Brothers 12% Festival. Wonderful time there, met a lot of great people, drank a lot of great beer, and some of the best beer I had was actually right there from Maine. There were beers from literally all over the world, and some of the most memorable that I had were from right there. So what I figured was, at the time, I want to get some of this local beer, and why not just do a show about it? So, most people in the craft beer world, when they think Maine craft beer, they think Allagash, and I think that's very much justified. I think they are one of the best craft beer breweries in the country, but a lot of people just think about their white ale, which I believe is probably the best white beer being brewed, at least that I have access to. And they don't think too much past that. Maybe some of the Cork and Cage, some of the bourbon barrel beers that they do, so on and so forth. But they do have quite a big barrel program, and in fact I'll throw in some photos that I took from the barrel room at Allagash. It was pretty awesome, wonderful woody smell there. Was very fortunate to be able to get a tour of the Allagash brewery. They just put in a brand new huge brewery, just really state-of-the-art, really nice shiny thing, and I have some pictures of that too, and it's going to be pretty much completely dedicated to white. Allagash White is just going to be getting cranked out there, and then they're going to use the old brewery for everything else. And then there's a third way that they're going to be fermenting things, and have been for a little while, and that is barrel fermentation. I've talked about that a little bit, and it's very unusual in American craft beer scene right now, and globally very unusual as well. Now, there's barrel conditioned beers where you ferment in stainless steel, and then you transfer, after the primary fermentation's done, you transfer it to oak barrels to age for a little while. And that is, what your bourbon barrel stouts do, what pretty much your bourbon barrel anything is. And even, some lambics, they start in stainless steel fermentation tanks. But in this case, Allagash has set up a Coolship, like they do at the lambic breweries in Belgium, and actually inoculate the wort there with local, what would it be, flora, I think, local bugs and yeasts that are just occur naturally everywhere. There's yeast everywhere in the world, pretty much, and what they do is just let the wort kind of sit out and then transfer it to barrels immediately and let the fermentation occur in the barrels. Very classic Belgian style to do that, especially the Coolship. They set out a little shed. They told the local municipality that it was a tool shed because they just didn't want to have to bother with explaining what was really going on there. I was very lucky to get the chance to take a look at the Coolship. Really cool, very cool. Have some pictures of that, which I'll throw up right now as I'm talking about it. It's basically just a very shallow stainless steel pan with the drain on one side. They fill it. They use a pump to basically pump in wort, which is unfermented beer, basically. And then there's these shutters on the side that just open up to the air, and it allows, it's right by this wooded area, and just the local bacteria and yeast settle on the beer as it's cooling, and then they'll pump it back out and I guess put it into a holding tank and then distribute it into barrels and let it go. They call this their Coolship series. They started, I think, the first brew in 2008, and the first beers were released with much hype at the brewery only. And in fact, these beers are pretty much exclusively brewery only, especially the bottles. 2 years later, they released it in 2011. I remember hearing good things about it, and I've heard that the beers have been getting better and better and better, and I tried some. It's now 2013 in the summer, and I was blown away. I was really, really blown away. So I acquired some, and I have some here. This is the Allagash Coolship Red. This is their framboise, meaning that they add fruit, or in this case, a friend bought would be raspberries, to the beer, and that adds more sugars. It adds obviously fruit flavors, and actually probably adds more yeast as well, because yeast, one of their natural environments is on fruit. If you ever seen pictures of like dusty looking grapes, that dust is yeast. Same with an apple, a dusty apple, and then you shine it up. That's yeast on there. So I have the Allagash beer. There's also a brewery that I was hoping to be able to visit because they were in the same industrial park as Allagash, or so I thought. That's Maine Brewing. We had them on recently as well. And they actually moved, so I didn't get a chance to get their beer, or visit their brewery, but I did pick up some of their beer. And this is called Madeline and Oliver, aka Mo. This is their pale ale, and they're very much about fresh beer here. It says drink within 90 days of the date stamped. So we are just over 30 days. We're about 40 days away, so we're well within the 90-day limit. So we'll try that. And then finally, there is a beer called Prince Tuesday, which is a collaboration between Maine and Allagash, as well as a third Maine brewery called Rising Tide, that I figured would be nice to do. It's a beer that I think they originally did for the Maine Brewers Guild several years back, and now this is the second or third iteration of this beer. They use, I think, ingredients from all three places. It looks like the fermentation is occurring at Allagash, because it's in an Allagash bottle. But it's a Belgian IPA with some rye malt, and I'm very excited. I haven't had this one, and I don't know if I've had Mo before either. I may or I may not have. So I figured we'll start this way. We'll start with a collab, and then we'll do a deconstruction minus the Rising Tide. So let's start here. So got your cork and cage. Prince Tuesday is what this beer is called. Somebody's trying to come in 15 minutes early, probably a sales rep. Opa. Okay, so let's give it a pour. So it's certainly a pale, not a, a lot of times when you have rye beers, they become red rye beers. Yeah, a lot of times when there's rye in beers, especially traditionally or, in years past, they would be red ales, red ryes. Founders has one, Two Brothers has one, there's Bear Republic has one. But now I'm just trying to see more of the pale ryes, and I like that, so that's kind of cool. Really nice fluffy white head, pretty much like a straw to gold color. Good clarity, I wouldn't consider it excellent clarity, but good clarity. Let's see if there's any indication of when this was brewed. It says 2013, so at most it's 6 months old. I hope it isn't 6 months old. Yeah, I don't see any indication of age. Not everybody puts the brewed on date on their bottles like I do at my store, so it's kind of hard for me to determine. It's got a very clean smell to it. I'm not getting a ton of hops, but what I am getting is very kind of herbaceous and green. Mild cracker as well. Not a ton of rye that jumps out at me, although I'm not the best at picking up on rye. In the mouth, there's certainly a little bit more hops and rye character here, and then the finish as well. Belgian yeast strain, mild Belgian yeast strain. It's not a big bubblegum banana bomb here. Certainly quite a bit of those green herbaceous hops though. It melds well with the rye. This is a balanced, easy drinking beer. It's at 8%. So you got to be a little bit careful with it, but this is a beer I probably want to drink in a 4-pack. I don't know if it's necessarily a beer that needs to be corked in cage, although it is a special collaboration, so I understand why they would do that. It doesn't really make sense to do a one-time release 4-pack. Good beer, very well put together. I like it. I think I would like to see it a little bit fresher. My guess is that this beer is a couple months old, but that's totally fine. you know, the Belgian character of this beer lets it hold up against that, and same with the rye. Not overly bitter, and it's a solid beer. Very solid beer. I'm gonna go 89 with this beer. I would certainly drink this if I saw it on tap, and I think it definitely has the opportunity to jump up a little higher if it was a little more fresh. So, very cool. All right, Maine Brewing Company. This is Mo, their pale ale. Maine is known, I would say, for their paler, hoppier beers. They've got Peeper, which I've had on the show, which I liked quite a bit. That was my first experience with Maine Brewing. And they also have Lunch, which everyone loves, which I think is their sessionable IPA. And here's Mo. Pardon me. A little hazy here. Nice big fluffy head here as well. Check my time, I think I'm okay. Golden yellow, a little bit more of a orange note here. Wow, big hops here. Orange, I don't know if it's just because of the color that came to my mind, but like orange, and when you like squeeze an orange rind or an orange peel and that zest kind of shoots up in the air, like that. And grapefruit all day long. It's actually when you squeeze a grapefruit and that zest kind of comes up from a ruby grapefruit. I mean, intensely grapefruit. Wow. Intensely grapefruit. Really great. Really great. You don't get a lot of malt here. It's all about the hops, and I'm totally okay with that. Light bodied, drinkable. This beer is coming in at who knows what alcohol. Assertive bitterness. I would say, I would pretty much consider this maybe to be an IPA, but it is very light bodied, so maybe, APA is fine. Really very little, very dry. Not a lot of malt character here, just enough of kind of like a bready note here. Maybe like a crackery note like I had here. Your mouth is just left kind of full of that really, really citrusy grapefruit tinged with orange character here. I like it, if that's what you're going for, they nailed it if that's what you're looking for in a beer. Certainly one that I think sitting down in a pub, wouldn't mind getting a full pint of this poured for me. I'm gonna go a little higher with the Mo. I'm gonna go 92 for Mo. Pretty nice beer, maybe 92 plus. I like this beer quite a lot. And do I have any water? I do. I do have some water. Now I really gotta get going. Let's see what we got here. I'm fine. And now for the Coolship beer. Really like that Mo. These are, as of right now, brewery only. They did release a limited amount of FV13, which is with their foeder aged beer. All right. Beautiful pink color on this beer. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wonderful, clear, ruby color. Just a little bit of head there. Wow. Very, very fragrant with a kind of like a dusty raspberry, but like a fresh raspberry. Like if you picked one up, like picked it, a raspberry bush, kind of some of the ones that were down towards the bottom, and you picked it up and it smelled kind of the earth and a little bit dusty and really fruity. Oh man. You can definitely tell there's some tartness here, but there's not a lot of funk, just a little bit of like a nice hay quality. Clean, very firm lactic acid here, so you're not getting that vinegar note. Very clean lactic. It's tart, but it's not face-scrapingly tart. Wonderful depth of raspberry, highly drinkable. I would put this up with a Belgian Framboise any day of the week. In fact, blind, I bet most people would think this came from Belgium. They're really nailing it. They're really doing some cool stuff. And it's still nice and clean. I think it does have a bit of an American perspective still, because it's not this crazy, pencil eraser or burning rubber thing going on. Not a lot of manure or gross notes to it. Really, really awesome stuff. I'm gonna go 95 with the Coolship Red. It's that good of a sour. If you guys are in Maine, I highly recommend you stop by and try to pick some up. Wow, oh man, I do want to share it, but I want to try some more for myself. In fact, that's what I'm going to end with, guys. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how wonderful the outpouring has been. People coming here and donating bottles that I will certainly have on the air. You guys are great. I'm getting people coming in every day from all over the country, literally, and thanking me and just complimenting me on the store, and I thank them back for caring enough. And keep the comments coming in. I love any sort of comment you could do on iTunes. I love to read that stuff. But thanks again, guys. I hope you like this kind of Maine-centered beer episode. Thanks again. I'm going to go out with the Coolship Red from Allagash, because I certainly have some excellent beer to drink, and hopefully you do too.